I'll just turn that off for the moment. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is the Premier League. We have Team Dignitas going up against Team Liquid here. This is Game 2 of this Best of 3 series, and thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know we had a few technical bugs to work out in the beginning of Game 1, but should be smooth sailing from here, and that was an awesome Game 1 to start things off. Liquid really taking control of things, and, 20-minute Scythe of Vice out of a just jungle AFK farming Enchantress really worked out for them. They really shifted momentum, and they were able to pick apart and take big team fights that, generally speaking, I feel the lineup for Dire could handle more appropriately, but under towers and such. But all in all, Team Liquid found the right opportunity, initiated correctly, and now we get to see them caking on into Game 2 with 1 point in the lead.
Yeah, I gotta say though, what makes it even more impressive that last game is when I play, I get AFK farming Enchantresses that get their Hex in 20 minutes, right? But when Fluff plays Enchantress, he just had so much presence on the map too. In the beginning, it was almost because he was invisible. He had basically put this Phantom Menace in the Dignitas lineup just because they didn't know when he was going to check runes. He forced the he was always off the map. They never had vision on him. You made sure he had no wards on him, and just because there was never an Undying and an Enchantress off the map, Dignitas couldn't play aggressively. Snaking was, neutered in that mid lane. It was very rough for him. So, and then in the mid game, he had creeps, he came to fights, he pushed towers. But, whenever he wasn't doing that, he very well maximized his time. It was, great play from Fluff. Oh man, he really showed off his chops that game. And looking at the bans, though, it seems more of the same. Neither team really wants to let the coddle get out, and neither team wants to go and deal with those pesky relocate ganks. I'm curious to see what Team Liquid will go for first. Yep, and it's going to be that Nyx Assassin. That offers them a huge amount of presence in the mid game. Do you think that Nyx is worth a first pick? Because I'm definitely in the boat that yes he is, but we've been seeing him get moved later and later into the picking phase these days.
It's a very strong draft. The fact is, he adds a lot of disable to the lineup. I know IX Mike plays him pretty frequently there and has a lot of luck and fortune with him, just the way he can get in to the right position, get some good powerful impales, and also the carapace off. But, any one of the characters, any one of the players on Team Liquid are able to take a hero like that and do something big with him. But the fact is, in the right hands, in the right positioning, he has some of the best lane presence in the game. We used to see Twin-Headed Dragon come out a lot with the Ice Pass just kind of spamming up, and that did a lot of disable and a lot of damage. Now Nyx Assassin is kind of the new Jakiro. He jumps in, he has a short cooldown, long range stun that can do a lot, and then of course he follows it up with a very powerful disable coming with the Spike Carapace. If anybody has any damage they can't control, any AoE sources like Gyrocopter's Flak Cannon and Call Down and such, they're going to be unfortunately stunned, and if they don't have BKBs up anyways, and 2.4 seconds on top of the already 2.7, that's a huge amount of disable, right. And when you consider it's in an AoE to an extent.
Yeah, this is going to be really difficult. I'm wondering where both teams are going to go for him here, though, because, we can say things like, there's a lot of AoE on Team Dignitas, right? Because they have that... 10 seconds. What is the word I'm looking for? Flak Cannon. They have that Flak Cannon, so there's a lot of AoE on Dignitas. But at the same time, they have a lot of, single target from the Chaos Knight. But, also they have a lot of pushing power because, when Chaos Knight hits that level 11 and he can go and split, those illusions completely shred the tower doing 100% damage. So there's a lot of ways Dignitas can go and, progress their draft from here, and this is a very interesting way of doing it. Normally we see teams hide their picks by, picking up their supports early and then kind of, solidifying it with, some a last pick anti-mage that we saw yesterday, just go and be but we're really going for that late game. But here, by picking the carries, these are just two such strong heroes that they fit in a lot of different lineups, and I'm very curious to see how it will run out. I wouldn't even be surprised to see something a dual mid coming out from Team Dignitas. Oh man, I love Puck. Okay, you can talk for a bit, Blaze. I need to get some water real quick.
Yeah, that's cool. That is really an interesting pick that's going to pretty much set the pace for where they want to go into play. They could go for an offlane Puck, but more likely I kind of expect this to be a bit of an offlane type thing. They're going to go in, they're going to just make sure that they have the initiation, the positioning they want to be able to bring stuff down. They have the Dream Coil, ultimate to hold people in place, the Waning Rift to have actually surprisingly long duration disable. Again, that's 3-second disable as far as silence goes in an AoE, so coupling that with Nyx Assassin, the Impale, and the Carapace, they have a lot of disable and a lot of limiting factors, and now they have amplification through Shadow Demon, so the last thing they're looking for, these last two picks, have to be damaged. They have to be lots and lots of damage to be able to go based on the initiation because all three of these picks so far for Liquid set up kills amazingly well, and they have some decent damage themselves through abilities like Vendetta and Puck's Count, just full arsenal of spells. But all in all, they want to be able to follow that up with some powerful right click, maybe some powerful nuke, and we'll have to see what they have in mind. Obviously, Fluff is kind of the genius drafter where he looks into the full future. He's playing chess 5 moves ahead. He knows where the enemy is going to go with a certain lineups there, and from there he is going to be looking to round out his lineup with the perfect 2 picks that will not only set up with his current team that he's built around, but also follow through and counteract the opposition. But we have some interesting picks from Dignitas here. The Lone Journey and CK, both of them kind of playing around that number 2, number 3 priority role, whether it's off lane or just the primary farmer there with Gyrocopter. I mean, honestly, all of these guys are interchangeable. I would consider them all scalable semi-carries, that it's just how much you put into them. If you invest a lot of gold in them, it'll work out and they'll be able to dish out a lot, but it's kind of a give and take there. They're not all going to be able to get top priority farm, and from there they have to kind of make a decision who they want in the spotlight here.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right about that. And if I could just go back to Team Liquid's lineup, because I love watching Fluff games because, his drafts are always really interesting. And I think that one kind of weird thing is by picking Nyx Assassin, you kind of force the other team to push, right? And that seems a bit strange, but it's not because Nyx has, like, terrible AoE, which, he kind of does. But it's more because the best way to play against Nyx Assassin is not to let any of your people be in a position where they can get picked off, right? You want to group as 5, and the most efficient way to use your time when you're grouped as 5 is to push down a tower, to just get that gold some other way. Similarly with team fighting, you want to team fight, you want to push as 5. And then the next two picks that Fluff makes is the Puck, who is a great counter initiator, right? Not counter initiator, but great at countering pushes just by putting Orb out, is a great counter initiator by, that blink, that silence, that full combo, the great amount of escapability. It's very hard to lock him down, and he, disrupts the team fight very well. And Shadow Demon, who, if getting some farm priority and, being able to level up that Shadow Poison, is both, great in team fights defensively by, being able to disrupt someone out, or by going and just nuking down a wave with Shadow Poison. It does quite a bit of damage. And on top of that, they're great at setting up kills with the Nyx Assassin. So it's just kind of, this is a really, really cool lineup. This is a very well-crafted lineup, and I'm kind of almost already worried for Team Dignitas, because as you were talking about, all their heroes need a decent amount of farm. They do have, when you look at these heroes, they could have a Gyro mid, maybe a Gyro safe lane, Lone Druid long lane, and a dual mid Chaos Knight, but it's going to be very tricky for them to maximize it. And on top of that, whenever you have a team where 2 of your major farming heroes are melee and you're playing against a Shadow Demon, it's fairly difficult. And when you couple that with a Puck to go and set up, multiple people impales for the Nyx Assassin, it's going to be difficult for them to actually do their damage. I'm almost worried for the Dignitas lineup already. It's going to really come down to if they're able to get the supports that they want, and I feel like Liquid has already banned out all the supports I would pick for them.
Yeah, very true. So that is going to be a lot of really, really powerful setup type heroes taken off the board. I mean, there's still individuals that will come into play, Jakiro and Disruptor and such, but all in all, yeah, Bane and Rubik and Venomancer really coincide very nicely with the CK, and I don't think this is the kind of lineup where you want to follow up with a Wisp support. Yeah, he is a support hero in all of his skills, but he actually is kind of item reliant. If he's just running on a boots and a magic wand 25 minutes into the game, he is going to be very low contribution. He's going to be pretty much a built-in taxi service, and beyond that, he really can't contribute all that much. A little buff here and there, but it's really, if a Wisp has to play number 5 and just ward, he's going to be that little ball of fluff, and obviously he's banned out, so that's not going to be a factor. Yeah. And I'm sure you wanted to mention that, but no, I was going on into it. I'm just saying, obviously I knew that, totally, guys. No, sorry, but I'm just saying, even if the Wisp wasn't banned out, it wouldn't be something that, although it is a great hero to coincide with CK, even if it was an option, I don't think that that's something they could take because of the item reliance and the experience reliance. Everybody needs farm here, and they need to get a very, very low item reliant support. We're talking a Crystal Maiden, possibly a Dazzle.
Vengeful Spirit wouldn't be that bad here. That minus armor is going to be super relevant. The stun's going to be relevant, and just being able to just aggressively swap people out. I think they need that kind of lockdown. I'm not sure if they'll go for that or they'll go for something a little bit more esoteric like a Dazzle, but I think Dazzle definitely fits the right way because it's the minus armor is going to be very useful for basically these kind of auto attack reliant heroes. But man, this is just such a good pick here too. It's just more nukes. And another thing to note is Dream Coil plus the remnants. It's very easy to set up your stuns.
Oh, easily, easily.
Yeah,
And on top of that, well, I was talking
disruption.
about yeah. And we're talking like, I was talking about follow-up damage. I mean, what better than Soul Assumption? Really coming into play with that. You have the Soul Catcher down on a target, and they've taken enough damage to max out your souls. You throw that bad boy in, and they're just going to drop. It's just like a Mack truck hit them. I mean, it's ridiculous damage output. And on the front line of things, when the Familiars have max charges, they're going to be able to dish out quite a bit themselves. So we do see Lena get picked up, and that coincides pretty well with the CK. I'm curious to see if they're going to go maybe Lone Druid offlane, Gyrocopter mid, and then have Chaos Knight and Lena on the bottom with possibly a jungle support. I mean, Enigma might be acceptable. I don't know. They don't really have as much presence, and their early game is their weakest, so they definitely need to buffer that up. You said a Vengeful Spirit, and I agree with that, but in this current laning situation, I think they have to let the Lone Druid and Gyrocopter solo, and that means we won't be seeing a CK Lena mid. They're going to have to go for the bottom lane there and just try to hang on for dear life as they try to get farm.
Yeah, I mean, that is, but they could also just pick up a support to go with the Gyrocopter on the top lane, right? And then go CK Lena mid. And I think that might be even a little bit better because they are on Radiant this time, so Lena can go for those kind of Radiant pulls. So it depends on how they want to play it out, but it could be either way. I see what you're saying, though, because they want the experience on all their kind of main heroes.
What do you think about Luna there? Do you think that's the carry that they need?
Yeah, I think it's just a bunch of extra damage. Like, it's not even picked as much for the ultimate, I'd say, here, or even the glaive, but the fact that it just buffs your damage a lot with the Lunar Blessing. I'm sure the hero that they really wanted, I'd bet, would be OD, right? They love that Visage OD, you know, just nuke all day, never not nuke. But I think Luna's going to fit the bill here by just giving everyone more damage. And I believe that also goes on to the Remnants. Don't quote me on that, but I believe it goes to the Remnants too. Oh, this might be a support Windrunner. Or a solo mid Windrunner, or... What? Is Dignitas? Okay, it's going to be a Gyrocopter mid because they put on snaking, so that's good to know. Also, is DWTS, is that fogged? Like, who is that? Because they have Universe standing in, and they have Universe and they have snaking standing in. So, who would that be? Would that be fogged or would that be way too?
Oh, yeah, that's way too sexy on WTS.
Okay, that's way too. Oh yeah, I see it now. Yeah, okay. It makes
acronyms,
so
man.
much sense now, yeah.
But yeah, no, it's going to be interesting how they run this though. With the Windrunner there, I was definitely thinking they need a item independent disabling support. So the shackles under Way Too Sexy are definitely fitting the bill there. But I think that might force them to run maybe like a jungle lone druid. To be honest, like Windrunner would be great on the top lane there. Way Too Sexy, playing that role pretty effectively and can get some major baller shackles once he gets a few ranks in it. But all in all, the fact is with that pickup, if Aoi 2000 wants to head up towards the top lane, then they're going to have issues with Way Too Sexy and where he tries to actually find himself getting something. So right now, picking up some pretty supportive items with the Sentry Ward, and I think that means that the bear is going to head up top, but we'll just have to see. I guess it's a full 100% support Windrunner, and she's going to be pretty deprived as far as items go. Won't be going for like phase boots, 4-staff type thing, not early anyways. So
yeah, I mean, the one good thing to hear is that you can actually maximize your jungle time when you have heroes like Windrunner and Lena, because if they just go and stack the big camp, it's going to take about like a power shot and maybe 2 Lena nukes when she gets like about level 3 to clear it out, and that's just a ton of golden experience going to your supports that you wouldn't normally get. Beyond that, it's very...
big initiation starting off. The nice defensive disruption, follow up the Chaos Ball, but with that Light Strike Ray coming on through, it is going to be a power shot, and Bulba's taking so much damage, gets finished off at the last second. The Impale not enough to save him, and now kind of breaking out in pursuit. The Ice Mike being the one out of position the most. That second Chaos Ball comes through, and they are going to be able to get a second kill on out of it. A little bit of Soul Assumption onto Way Too Sexy, but too little too late. They have dropped down 2, and falling back from there, you can just see this gigantic gold advantage starting off. I mean, 750, that's spread out. The assist went on pretty much everybody there. So essentially they were really, really well off to begin with, and of course that's going to put them in a position where I was talking about how they were a weak early game, but the fact is if they kind of catapult themselves forward an extra minute as far as farm goes, then they have an advantage just going on into it that I think Liquid is going to have trouble dealing with, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it basically, we saw, you know, the power of getting your Chaos Bolts to really, really pound people, because like he got 2 2-seconds there, right? Like those were both 2 seconds, and like there was just nothing to be done. Disruption's actually very bad defensively when the Lena's already there. You know, like if the Lena's used her spells, that's fine. But he basically set up for perfect LSAs, and I don't think that's on IX Mike, right? I just think that was a fight that I don't know why Liquid decided to take it. It just didn't seem necessary at all.
Well, they didn't 100% know exactly what they were getting on into. They could have reacted a little bit more immediately. I do agree with you, but the fact is the Chaos Bolt was unfortunate for them 2 seconds. I think if it was 1 second, the disruption wouldn't have happened, but it had to because of how much disable and how much damage would have immediately followed. So, all in all, that just put him in that kind of position there. And I look at IX Mike's position, so aggressive right here, trying to make sure that AUI is not getting a chance to farm up on the top lane, but inevitably he's going to be able to because Lone Druid is just such one of those. It controls the Creequilibrium very effectively if it does the pulling action, and in general, AUI is just really skilled on that lane and is going to be able to get something out of it one way or another. But we see two supports roaming on up, Way Too Sexy, and Tides of Time is going to be heading up top there. So it is technically a 3v3 right now, and that's going to be pretty interesting going forward as Universe is also heading on. Oh, he's back to base. Interesting.
1 second. So yeah, I think that moving the tri-lane top is a little bit suspect, but it's not as if the oh my god, what are the
Yeah, they're transitioning the Lone Druid down bottom, and they're going to farm up the CK up top. But the problem is, yeah, they're going into committing themselves to a 3 versus 3 up against a Visage, which is just generally considered the reigning king of 3v3 engagements. I mean, the Soul Assumption gets the charges whether they have the damage received on their own side or the opposition, so there's going to be some big damage coming out, and the question is, are Way Too Sexy's Shackle going to be good enough to be able to burn down the Visage before he actually comes into play? Because Gravekeeper's Cloak plus the Soul Assumption, if Fluff can survive and just get one big nuke off, it'll completely change how these 3v3s will go on through. But in the meantime, on bottom lane, Bulba doesn't really stand too much of a chance compared to the Lone Druid as far as getting good CS in that lane specifically.
Yeah, he's going to get a ton of experience though, so I think he will basically be fine. In terms of the top lane, that 3v3, kind of the one problem with Visage and like the nuke that there's something going on. Or did you just get
not too much. Yeah, he's harassing with the Invis, but it's not going to be the end all be all. So what were you saying?
Right. So the reason that we didn't see Visage for a very long time was because he used to be completely overpowered. His nuke had a very low mana cost, and it just you could just spam someone out of lane. And then when that mana cost was raised, we didn't see Visage for a very, very long time because you actually have to commit. When that nuke goes down, if you don't get a kill, Visage isn't a very good hero otherwise, especially with the Gravekeeper's Cloak. You just don't have anything else. There's no stun. There's a slow, but not comparable to Venogale or anything. It's just a kind of unimpressive hero in the early game. But that nuke is insane. So if you get the kills, it's great. Now, I think that this basically favors the Radiant team because, yes, while they themselves are pretty dependent on getting that kill, since the CK's mana pool can't support fight after fight after fight, it's easier for them to win a fight once they go because after they nuke once, they have 2 sets of stuns immediately afterwards. So I don't think Visage is going to be able to maximize his usefulness here, and I'm sure Fluff will find some way to prove me wrong, but I feel like the Dire lineup is going to have to play a little bit more defensively. I don't think that's that bad for them, but they're not going to be able
Starting
to
off, we do see a disruption up top that can follow up. They don't have the Grave Chill though, so they have to rely on the Lucent Beam to go with the Soul Assumption. Big damage coming on out, but without the Soul Catcher active, they actually didn't skill it at all, so IX Mike not going to be able to amplify that damage up, and of course CK, Universe will be living to fight another day, and from there, yeah, he has enough regen from his supports to be able to heal back on up, but after that, they're kind of out of that ballpark. They don't really have too much to work with there, and in general, that didn't cost Team Liquid too much at all. Just a little bit of harassment as far as mana goes, and they'll be able to recover that over a few, let's say 30 seconds, they'll be back, able to do something like that right back up again.
They have to play super careful, though, because if CK lands a stun, I think TC, or rather, if they go on IX Mike, I think they'll win that fight pretty handily. If IX Mike is forced to disrupt himself, Liquid's in a terrible, terrible spot. Meanwhile, Bulba's getting levels on the bot lane, and he's already level 5. Like, he has 13 creeps too. Like, this is not that terrible farm-wise. Like, I've seen mid lanes go worse than this for the Nyx Assassin. He's done a great job, kind of just stealing what he can. And man, when Nyx hits level 6, the Radiant team's in a pretty bad time.
Yeah, because we were talking about how much is on the shoulders of the supports, making sure that they can spam out a bunch of different wards and smoke and whatever they need to do to make sure their carries and semis can move in towards the mid game. But the fact is, if sentry wards are on top of that, if they have to continuously be afraid of a vendetta coming out of nowhere and striking them down, then they're going to be a pretty bad spot. But we do see this gank coming on in. They just need one disable. There is that phase shift still available. The Dragon Slave actually popped off the phase shift, double damage, bottling up. He's going to be able to recover a bit. Call down comes on through, looking for the LSA, but it gets silenced up by the Waning Rift, and it looks like Korak might be able to survive right here. Going to be able to jaunt down to the south. IX Mike teleporting on in. Wants to get that disruption, but I'm not sure if he can close the distance just yet. Just spamming out that Shadow Poison. Keeping vision means Tides cannot juke, and instead is going to drop down to creeps. Now there is that Rocket Barrage going down on Fluff. A lot of damage coming in there, but it looks like he's just going to have to go on the run. With that Dream Coil popped off, Sneaking going to go down as well. So that is a nice swing, putting them back 2-2 now. They are really kind of pulling themselves back in from that fight down on bottom at the beginning.
Yeah, and I think a little funny thing to note is Boba, you know, he hoofed his way all the way over there, which I think was the right decision, because that fight, unless Korok played that, you know, he was like a maestro on Puck right there, you know, he played that so well. But if that went pretty poorly, Boba would need to be there, but since he wasn't there, his Vendetta was about to run out, so he just, you know, kind of cheekily grabbed a last hit, just popping out of Invis. But also, another thing that I just kind of noticed is that I don't think that Dignitas wins this late game, you know? Like, against Luna, with the amount of setup that she has. These are supports that scale very well on the Dire team. It's going to be pretty difficult for them to do something. I mean, while there's, you know, a ton of damage coming out on the Radiant lineup, it's going to be difficult as it goes late. Especially considering the Gyrocopter's not getting safe farm. Like, he's being pretty heavily contested.
So right now we're seeing the Golgraph move in the direction of Liquid, and presumably the experience has been pretty much in the same ball court there. But all in all, we kind of talked about scalability in the drafting phase. The Gyrocopter has a lot of late game presence. He's not even going for homing missile, focusing mostly on that flat cannon, making sure that he can dish out the AoE physical damage that he intends to, and following that up most likely with items like Yasha and Drum to kind of stay mobilized, stay active. The Chaos Knight's not getting too much as far as farm goes, having been pressured so much on the top lane, but we do see Lone Druid picking it up quite a bit in his stead. Going for the 39 CS here, the Bear is going to be able to probably go for more of a battle-oriented build, maybe a Maelstrom to pick up, and be able to dish out some good right-click damage, as well as having a high attack speed to batter down on towers. With Lone Druid at level 8 now, he can pretty much, anytime his lane is abandoned, put pressure on this tier 1 on bottom, and of course that is currently the case. So, although there is a lot of pressure on mid right now with all these heroes having been smoked up for a while, the fact is, as soon as that's been realized, is going to be AoE 2000 going to be just pushing down on the bottom.
Yeah, I think Aoi needs to be a little bit afraid right now because he just doesn't have vision on the map. Like, they see Bulba, who's gonna just be able to grab that Invis rune, but they see Bulba. Besides that, there's nothing. You know, during nighttime they won't be able to catch the IX Mike. They won't be able to see Fluff, and it's very scary time. Even if you're playing that Lone Druid who's, you know, sitting at like 1300 HP at what, 8 minutes. That hero is so interesting.
So we
is that a Midas? That's not that bad timing either. He's going to be, you know, fairly well rich.
Yeah, that's going to work out for him pretty effectively there, and you're going to be able to get a lot of nice bonus golden experience. After level 8, experience isn't that big of a deal in Lone Druid, to be honest, but every little bit helps. I mean, he did put a point in Rabbids, so getting the synergy maxed out will be very beneficial there. So around level 10, level 11, he's going to be a little bit capped out, but in the meantime, we do see that push up top. Just so much damage coming out with even rank 2. Lunar Blessing, it's going to allow them to right-click down that tower really quickly, and in turn, there's going to be this gradual push coming out of the AoE 2000 on the Spirit Bear here.
Yeah, you know, here it's a little bit better for the, well, I mean, the fact that they're not able to get the tower is awful, right? But I think the fact that they only need to commit one hero to putting a ton of pressure on bot tower rather than the 3 that were up there for Team Liquid, that just goes to show you how strong the Lone Druid is. But unless Awie's able to get a lot of work done and farm up very quickly, I'm not sure how successful this pick is going to end up for them. Because you don't see Lunas go super late game anymore. They normally go... it was popularized, I believe, by LGD, that Aquila, Drums, Tranquils build, and it does seem that TC is going for that right now. But if the game drags up to like a 40-minute game, the Bear just isn't that relevant as a hero anymore. You need to really get those entangles off, and it's... I was thinking about what I said earlier about, you know, Radiant having the lineup to not having as strong a lineup, and I think I'm going to have to take that back. Oh, is there something going on mid?
No, it's just this
Yeah,
little cheeky play. They had to pretty much put out a second sentry ward just because of the fact that Korok and his supports have done such a good job in the mid lane here, covering it up, making sure they have the lane wards. Now we see both of them kind of initiating each other, but that 3-second stun is going to make Korok really pay for it. It can pop off the invis, but it really won't help him right here. There's too much damage coming out from the call down, and Gyrocopter's going to finish that up. No problem. Sneaking, picking up a nice kill for himself. They did have to commit TPs and such, but it was well worth it with a nice Reality Rift initiation. Barely picking him off, and that means Puck doesn't get the chance to initiate with that invis rune whatsoever.
Yeah, I love watching like Flat Cannon just like hit other useful things. It's kind of like when you if you're playing Gyrocopter in a pub, you don't even have to focus tombstones or anything. You're just like, it'll probably work out. I just don't even pay attention to that stuff anymore. But so what I was saying is, there's just a lot of stunts on the Radiant lineup. So I definitely think that I was wrong. I don't think that Dire has any significant advantage going into the late game, even though that disruption on a Luna with that's really stacked is probably one of the scariest things to play against in Dota.
Yeah, I mean, the fact is, they have a lot of damage potential. I mean, when Visage goes into like a mechanism, they can push pretty aggressively and put damage down pretty quickly. When Luna's up at that level 11, the rank 2 Eclipse comes out, and that's going to be a lot of burst damage that they can do a lot of aggression with. But when it comes down to it, if they don't have a very substantial gold advantage going into the late game, of course they don't stand a chance. The question is, how much farm is going to come out on Dignitas? Because if they can shut down the farm, it doesn't matter who has the scalability. Yeah, there is going to be a CK that can do a lot if he has tons of strength, but imagine like a heart timing on a CK who has to compete with a lone druid and a gyrocopter on farm. It's going to be like at the hour mark. It's just like there's no chance for him to get what he needs in that sense. So all in all, I think that Liquid still have a good potential even if the game goes later, as long as they control the routes of farm. Control Ancients, make sure gyrocopter doesn't stack that up. Maybe get a little bit of that for Luna herself. Actually seeing that right now with no glaives, unfortunately. So just going to have to stack, and TC will be very patient about farming that until glaives are at least rank 2. I mean, Team TP on top lane here. Bulba has haste rune though, so I mean the worst are going to lose the familiar, which just cheekily does the little stone drop down there as the tower takes a lot of damage right here. Battlecry popped off, but recalling him back as soon as he sees the opposition. They want to push down this tower, but they don't want to commit to anything, because if they lose something like a bear, they lose a lot of momentum because they know they have that cooldown and they can't play as riskily in that kind of environment. So all in all, they're not doing too bad. Gyrocopter getting the BKB up very shortly, only 1,200 gold, and he'll be able to farm that up no problem at all. And I gotta say that comes down to just straight up CS and the fact that he hasn't been too contested on the mid lane. I mean, there's been a lot of roaming, smoke roaming specifically from Liquid, but it hasn't been to too much effect. Of course, Gyrocopter sitting 2-1-1. He started off really well in that team fight on bottom, and from there he's been moving into some big items. So BKB will be instrumental in allowing him to actually dish out the damage he intends to. But in the meantime, the tier 1 tower on bottom is going to be pretty hard pressed.
Yeah, I think that they do have the heroes. If they want to go and actually defend this tower, I feel all they need is a TP from the Lina and the Windrunner, who have done an admirable job picking up the levels in farm. They need Windrunner hitting 6, and Lina, sitting at 4, which isn't obviously where she wants to be, but it's not as bad as seeing, a Tidehunter sitting at 4. She'll still be able to have a pretty high impact this game. This Windrunner is actually caught up with the CK. The CK has actually just been following Aoi around. Not literally, but he's just like being in the general area, just farming woods or something, in order to keep him protected. They're putting a lot of eggs in the Lone Druid basket, and I think that I'm not sure like how much I agree with the decision, because Lone Druid doesn't need that much farm, and I think if it was a little bit better of a spread, maybe not in terms of experience, like giving the Lone Druid the majority of the experience, but getting CK more farm might work out for them a little bit better.
I think
also. What is that?
I think the mindset there is giving the Lone Druid farm, prioritizing him, is to get him to rush that Assault Karas. If he can get the AC out, everybody's damage is so much more substantial for it.
That's actually
through.
very true.
And after that, yeah, his farm isn't nearly as relevant, but once he hits that AC, that is a huge point where Dignitas actually, I think, is on even ground compared to Liquid's team fight.
Do you think TC is going to go for that second Shadow Blade here? He's sitting at about 3,500 gold on really. Man, after that last game, I thought he was going to snipe the other carry. So Luna's got a DT now, and I think this is going to be their timing to go and get this bot tower. I don't know
we do see a shackle coming out on Bulba right now. He has all his cooldowns available still, so right now they're kind of being forced off their tower, just really man-moding it up. Bulba is in this position where he's like, just walk away. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be able to disable you up, and they can follow up with damage and threaten them there. The double damage, of course, adding in a lot. Tower is going to drop really, really quickly, and obviously no reason to commit the fortification there. They really want to wait until they have a tower that they can actually contest. And in the meantime, that's probably going to be the tier 2. I think that is something they should try to hang on to, because otherwise Liquid is just going to be starting to kind of do that steamroll thing. They're going to be getting a huge amount of gold momentum. They're already up at 2k, just short of it. And with these tower kills, or sorry, actually I'm looking at the wrong thing for some reason. Radiant actually had a nice advantage just based on the fact they've spread out nicely, been getting a lot of farm, 90 on the Gyrocopter, 89 on the Lone Druid, but now that's starting to come down. Now we see that swing with the tower coming into play, dropping down to barely 1,000, and if they don't keep this gold advantage, it's going to be harder and harder, as these disables are going to be a large impact. But the Gyrocopter's BKB is only 600 away, trying to counter push for the time being, but Bulba coming in with that Impale, going to be able to do some damage. Here comes the Stone Forms. There's no chance for sneaking at all, and so he's going to get completely wrecked, and from there, the tower will be forfeit. They'll just push this on down. Luna adding in a lot of attack damage to the lineup, and that is going to be like 5,000 gold on the Luna right here, which is, yeah, like, the world is their oyster, can pick up literally anything. So this is pretty interesting. Shackle comes out. They do get the TP in, but it's too little too late. Shadow Demon picks up the last hit. Now Bulba on the run. 3 seconds on Ix Mike. He will probably die. But other than that, the rest of the team should be able to escape on out of there. And they took the tower, which is well worth it. So it's pretty interesting. And sorry, I said that twice. But anyways, the fact is they get a lot of gold out of it. They have tons of items they can pick up now. Visage can actually start making his way towards his mech, because since he picked up the Arcanes, he's been pretty far off of getting any real benefit from that. Oh, and also one thing we didn't really comment on is the interaction with Flat Cannon and Familiars.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
they're so very vulnerable. They're 300 HP, and if the Flat Cannon is within radius, they're going to drop down. There are only chances of Stone Form really early in the fight, which that's the last thing you want as a Visage. You don't want to be hard-pressed to cast out your big abilities, but all in all, you also don't want to be just feeding more farm to the Gyrocopter, because they do possess a substantial bounty with that. Speaking of, he's going to have BKB very shortly.
Yep. One thing I'd like to note about that last fight is, again, we're seeing a little, from both teams now, we're seeing a little bit overzealousness to use ultimates. If Luna, I feel, had held onto their Eclipse, there was no way that the Dire could contest, and she's kind of in a similar role of the Magnus last game, and by the way, going for a straight butterfly. A straight butterfly. That's going to be very good against the bear, but wow, you don't see that very often.
Yeah, you don't. But if any game, I think this would be the most appropriate one for it. Of course, low base HP, sitting at only 700 and some, so that effective HP shoots up, but not nearly as much because of no vitality-based items. But all in all, yeah, 3 physical right-click heroes that aren't going to get an MKB anytime soon. It's definitely a good pick.
Yeah, I think, this is going to force MKBs out of him, because, I think that, but it's not like a bad item on any of the heroes either. Like, probably the CK. CK doesn't really want to get MKB, but an MKB on the bear is, non-standard, but pretty damn good. The other thing to note is, we're probably not even going to see a Manta this game. Right?
Yeah, we see this actually fight breaking out. I thought it was just going to be a pick-off right here, but it does seem like everybody is committing to this right here. Ix Mike pops off that Demonic Purge, doesn't get shackled, but with the Reality Rift coming on through, he's going to get dropped down very quickly. In the meantime, there is that push by TC. With the Glaives up now, he can push so very painfully and just rock the world on these towers with the farm he's acquired. But all in all, I don't think Liquid was looking for that kind of... I mean, they committed to the Blink Dream Coil, and they thought they could get a lot more out of that. But Dignitas grouping up buddy quite effectively there, and I gotta say that they really... there's good things and bad things about it. Of course, they turned around that engagement, but look at Lena's levels right now. She's sitting at 5, can't even Laguna. She's been just kind of backpacking on the pony of Chaos Knight and not been able to commit too much more beyond that.
Yeah. I agree, Blaze. I agree. I forgot what I was going to say, but you are right.
Korra coming in, nice Waning Rift, but just going to jaunt on out after that phase shift expires, so no big problems there. And it looks like Nyx Assassin is moving in towards the Necronomicon, most likely. I think that would be most appropriate. And with that, they'll just be able to actually fight more aggressively here. The auras will benefit quite a bit. BKB and the Haste Rune up on Gyrocopter. He really wants to make something happen here. Actually, Korok starting off, it's just harassment, though. They're going in, committing a lot of mana, but right now he's in an okay spot to go forwards. They know they can damage the Spirit Bear, low magic resistance, and with that Soul Catcher up. So, putting it down and now harassing it back, yeah, that Spirit Bear is going to have to be resummoned, and that is not something that Lone Druid wants to do when he's trying to push aggressively right here.
Yep. And if they're able to go, he's actually just going to go and walk it back, and I think this is really smart, because if they're able to go and, like, put damage on the bear in right after, that second bear, you know, they know that resummon timing, I'm sure, like the back of their hand. And if that second bear gets hurt, it big. Ooh, okay. That's.
Yeah, he just keeps on doing
Correct.
those cute little
Yeah.
plays with that Blink Dagger. I mean, you're so survivable as Puck, so I guess he's thinking, why not? Was playing a lot of aggression early last game and wants to keep that up. And finding like Quadra Waning Rifts really sets you up for that. Just making sure you hit tons of different heroes, and they can't really commit to a long push. They don't have any kind of healing on their lineup. They don't have a mechanism anytime soon. So all in all, other than like Tranquil Boots, they're in a position where if they take that damage, it's going to stay there, and that makes it harder and harder to engage as time goes by. And I think it's a pretty cute and pretty effective play there.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be fairly important that he's able to keep doing that, because they do not want to go and engage on the Radiant right now, because you know, with that BKB up, that's a 10-second BKB charge, and this is not a very good time for them to fight. Going for this super early butterfly means that Luna is not exactly combat ready, as it were. She really wants to get another item, you know, pick up that magic style and really put those stats to work. And I think, though, if the game goes to the point where she gets like a magic style satanic, that's really where they wanted to go. They need this game to go like another, like, what is it, like 10-15 minutes at like if she's sitting around, you know, 500 GPM, like that's like 12 minutes for both of those items. So, well, what am I saying?
I suppose. Anyways, but yeah, moving in, I guess towards
that's awful,
Tread's going to disassemble there. But I think that all she really needs is a Helmet Dominator to move forward. It looks like might even, I don't think of Vlad's would be the best option.
Solo kill on
Yeah.
Windrunner. Korok's really good at Puck.
Yeah, I mean, this is just really nice little play, popping out that Dream Coil, and, you know, most of the aspects of Windrunner is that she can dodge out physical type things, evade quite effectively, but when there's so much magic damage coming out, you can just burst them on down through that methodology, and it's not really going to cost you too much at all, so Korok just keeps on spamming that out, and like I said, the supports have gotten no farm at all, no mechanism in sight, and that won't change anytime soon. So I'm just going to stop saying it, because I don't think that by the 40-minute mark they're going to even have a mechanism, and by that point it's going to be very irrelevant.
They need to do something with this BKB on Gyrocopter. The Radiant's playing scared enough, but I think that Korok's just putting a lot of pressure on. It's been a long time since I've seen a Puck, right? And I'm wondering why I haven't. The hero really benefited from that little bit of a base damage increase that allows him to be competitive in the mid lane.
Yeah, it's really good for those kind of matchups, space shifting on out with a lot of, if those that watch Beyond the Summits, Fistful of Tangos, Puck was used very frequently in that, and to great avail. I mean, it's just really good opportunity to juke out with phase shifts and that kind of thing. So in a 1v1 situation, really great, and of course, initiating team fights is the name of the game there. But finally, this tower falls. They've been slow pushing, just poking away, poking and prodding at it, and finally they bring it down. But all this time, TC has been farming effectively, now moving in towards the Dominator. I was afraid he'd go for a Vlad's, and although I think the Armor Aura would help out a lot, of course, he needs a lot more. He's the carry, he needs big, solid lifesteal, and so TC, obviously knowing that, going to go for some legitimate
because he had the Basilius.
Yeah, he had the Basilius and a Ring of Regen, and I was like, okay, well, that's all the components he needs.
There's no way, dude.
Yeah.
Even Liquid isn't crazy enough to get a Vlad's on it.
I'm good at justifying items, but that's a big stretch right there. So, anyways.
Yeah. As casters, you learn how to say yes to things, but I think that would be a questionable buy. Vlad's is, however, up on the Lone Druid, and I think that's a great purchase. It goes and also gives a lot of help to this poor Chaos Knight. He's finally picked up drums, and like looks like he's working to get that armlet. And I don't know, man. He's gonna have he needs to get another 2 levels quickly, because then he'll get access into both of his ultimates. Bulba's probably dead here.
No, I mean, he did dodge out with that Carapace. He'll be able to bend it on out. The detection, the Shackle doesn't latch, but the Power Shot is true enough. Korok pops off his cooldowns, but it's just gonna be able to Jaunton out of there. I can haste back in if he feels it's appropriate, and there is that initiation from onto IX Mike. The Rabbit giving a lot of movement speed, but can't find him in the fog. And with this BKB on cooldown, they have to fall back. Now Puck has a chance to chase, still has that Dream Coil, gonna be able to make sure Sneaking's not getting on out of there at all, but Bulba is the one who wants the revenge, gonna pop off that Impale and make sure that anybody who threatens him is gonna have to pay. So I believe, was that a buyback from him? I believe, yeah. So
it was a buyback, but I still think it's worth it, because now they can just go walk into the Roche pit, and I think I would trade a buyback on my support Nyx Assassin, and in order to get the Gyrocopter and his 10-second BKB charge. Like, that was basically a perfect fight. And I gotta say, a lot of that came down to the Shadow Demon, who was able to immediately purge Snaking as soon as his BKB popped, and kind of, not allow him to chase anymore. It was just, very calculated play from Liquid there.
And in reference to one person said in chat that I said that mech is a irrelevant item at the 40-minute mark, and it's not that it's 100% useless or something. It's just the fact that HP pools are increasing more and more. The fact that a mech is a static heal of 250. The armor is nice, but all in all, it's not going to be nearly the benefit of maybe something like a Ghost Scepter for a selfish individual basis. The fact is, Mechanism is a good item to get early, because then you have such a great health buffer comparatively speaking, and beyond that, Pipe provides a lot more mitigation, and in the sense that they're dealing with things like the nuke of Eclipse and from Nyx Assassin his Impale, those kinds of things, it might be more appropriate there. But either way, that's just kind of a point that a lot of people can contest, but it's all about the timing of items. A Radiance at 50 minutes is not nearly as good as a 19-minute one, and same thing with Mechanisms and such like that. But we do see that mech up on Visage, and that's going to be very powerful in conjunction with his Gravekeeper's Cloak, adding in a large amount of mitigation for multiple instances of damage received, and on top of that, adding in a little bit of extra effective HP will help him just stay in the fray, keep those soul assumptions coming, and be able to dish out quite a bit there. So I love that pickup. That's going to be really strong for them, and with Luna having the Aegis, has a lot to work with here as she makes towards her BKB. She can start playing very aggressively over the course of this next 6-minute mark.
Yeah, I think that this is really interesting item progression. Normally you'd see something like BKB, then Helm, then Butterfly. But, you know, TC's like, well, I have a lot of money, might as well buy an Eagle Song. And he's kind of, the builds have converged here at the 25-minute mark, and he's just got, you know, pretty great farm. A lot of Ancients in that 191 CS too.
Nice Shackle. Beautiful initiation coming out from Way Too Sexy. That's what we're looking for, and that's what they need. But oh my gosh, that mitigation. Holy crap, he got force staffed away if he survives. No, he can't imagine. No, Reality Rift should secure this kill right here. But the Demonic Purge, last right clicks, they want it. They get it. Power Shot from Way Too Sexy. Wow, that took way too much to bring down a support. I mean, that's a level 11 Visage, and the Laguna Blade didn't do anything to him. Gravekeepers.
Oh, God, dude.
Oh my gosh, that is such strong magic resistance. I mean, that is so powerful. And of course, we saw it in action right there, setting it up so they had to commit a lot to it, but didn't pay for it. I mean, they didn't lose anything beyond their ultimate cooldowns, and from there they of course picked off a kill and fell back. So they're doing pretty good, and it looks like Gyrocopter is making his way towards the MKB. See that Javelin. Once he can do that, counteracting the 35% evasion of Butterfly is going to put him in a pretty good spot to duke it out with TC. But again, we're talking about farm density. Gyrocopter only at 9,300 net worth compared to Luna's 13.8k and counting. He's going to have to get a couple of ancient stacks if he's going to want to stay on top of things and try to go toe-to-toe with her.
Yeah, and this just goes to show, like, Dignitas is not a team that, you know, is hesitant to stack. But when you're playing against a Nyx Assassin, a Puck, and, you know, a Shadow Demon, it's a little bit too scary, even if you have that CK Luna, to go and have a very big stack out there. Because what if you lose one fight, and that Luna will clear the stack so quickly, and there's almost no coming back from a Luna who's cleared her own stacks and your stacks. Like, it's just a little bit too much. Wait, now, looking at this, it seems like, okay, no, they're going 4-staff. I was working with Ike's Mike because I agree with you. I thought they were going to be, like a Necrobook on the Nyx Assassin, but it seems like they've actually just gone for double 4-staff. Now, does 4-staff, like, could this be some, like, sick tech? Like, the 4-staff, I believe, does pop on, the Dream Coil. Like,
yeah, you can definitely like commit to intentional stuns and force them through the Dream Coil stun. And technically, you could go for like an Aghanim Scepter on Puck and make that very, very painful if they break the stun. But beyond that,
I don't think it's that good. Yeah.
I mostly think it's for initiation. The
Yeah.
fact is, we see Blink Daggers come up on Nyx Assassin all the time because Vendetta isn't a reliable source of initiation, any sentry at all, and suddenly you're running around trying to get that auto attack off, and you're just going to get disabled up, maybe Chaos bolted down, and you don't even pop off the Carapace because you're invis, and you really, really want that Vendetta. Well, the Blink Dagger or Force Staff will kind of put that problem at ease. You'll just be able to initiate on with the Impale and then use the Vendetta mid-fight, which is more appropriate in a lot of high-level team fights there. So that's pretty much what you're looking at there, is 600 range of initiation and just quick mobility burst, which is kind of what they need.
Yeah, I think it's good to think of Vendetta in that kind of situation as Lion's Finger. It's basically a good single target nuke. It's not a reliable initiation anymore, but you know, it's still a ton of damage. You can blink in, stun, use your combo, and then, you know, just pop R if you need to for that additional damage.
Meanwhile, TC is farming up so well, coming kind of back. He wasn't at the top of the charts for CS for a while, but so many ancient stacks. This has not been contested hardly at all. Finally, we see this observer ward come out to prevent ancients from continuously spawning, but it's been a long time. In 29 minutes in the game, I think that's the first time they've really done anything involving TC's ancients, and from there he's gotten quite a bit out of it. Again, the BKB is adding not only the potential to go in and get that eclipse off on just about everyone because he has a high base movement speed and he won't be disabled during the time that he wants to close the distance, but along with that, negating some of the damage coming out from predictable AoE nukes like Call Down and Lena's abilities. That really sets up TC to just jump into the fray and dish out all the damage he wants, and now sneaking is getting sheeped up. Korok has a friggin' scythe, and that is going to set him up with the Dream Coil. No, they're not going to be able to finish it off because of the Blink BKB TP, wanting to kind of follow up on a support, but way too sexy. Going to just TP on out of there before the Stone Farm going to be relevant whatsoever. So, all in all, I think that was an interesting choice to... I don't know what I'm saying there. The fact is, they were able to at least cause another BKB charge. I mean, right now, the 10-second and 9-second charges from Gyrocopter's BKB have been relatively useless. I mean, they've kept him alive, and that's about it.
They killed a Nyx. Yeah, so that's about it. They got a Nyx and a buyout.
So when teamfights come in, he's going to be sitting on 7, 6, 5 charges seconds of BKB, and that's not going to be nearly as useful up against all these disables. Right off the bat with that first pick Nyx, I talked about how bad that Carapace is when it comes to comparing to Flackhands, so I'm expecting as soon as Gyrocopter's BKB expires, he's going to be disabled quite a bit, and he's going to have a tough time surviving. And now that he's carrying a gem, his death is all that much more beneficial for Liquid, taking that off the board, controlling the map more effectively, and penning in Dignitas. We already see them kind of making sure that they're in a very safe position on their side, not wanting to move anywhere past their ancients. They're definitely not going to move past the river in any way, shape, or form. They're in a defensive mindset right now, and that's not only because of, actually, Korok getting a pick off there, Windrunner, just
how
not
is he doing this, dude? Yeah, okay, you see Pucks, right? Like, I've always felt that hero just doesn't quite have enough damage to be an absolute monster, but I think, I'm definitely downloading this replay right after the game and just going to go and watch him play, because he's killing a Windrunner, right? A Windrunner with the Force Staff with Puck.
Yeah, it's
just
too much.
I mean, he committed a Dream Coil, but that's it.
Yeah, it might be a little bit of a mistake from way too sexy. Yeah. Like his health threshold might have been a bit low, but overall, that's just really impressive how he's been able to get that accomplished. 136 right-click damage, not something you usually see, but obviously he's been going for the pickoffs that he's been wanting, and he's come out on top quite effectively. 3-1-3 right now. Technically not the same as Lone Druid and the Dota mindset for the stats there, but it seems that, in my opinion, being able to contribute more to the team fight, being involved in 6 kills out of Liquid's 8, puts them in a nice spot. But we've been talking a lot about late game. We're moving into that phase past the 35-minute mark, and after the next Roshan comes down, I would consider us moving in towards the late game, and that's, again, where Lone Druid becomes that much more relevant. As far as his farm, the bear does indeed have Monkey King bar, so he is able to try to go for that entangle off on the Luna, and when he gets that, if they can lock down Luna, then they're going to be able to actually completely disrupt Liquid's team fight, because their damage, even though surprisingly Korok has been able to dish out quite a bit, I still think the core of their damage is in the Luna and her right click potential. She has a Satanic, she's very durable, but if they can maybe get like a Halberd on the CK, they could give her a lot of grief. So that's the intention, is force her to pop the BKB early on in the fight, make sure she doesn't have Aegis, so they're going to have to try to control Roche, and then from there they can try to disable her up and bring her down. But of course if they commit too much to that, Liquid, the rest of their team is going to be able to do enough to stay on top of things here. In the meantime, I think that right now TC is in a pretty happy spot right now. He has a TP scroll available, the Butterfly, Satanic, and BKB. The one big issue he's looking at is MKB up on the Bear and soon to be on the Gyrocopter. Does he have another Javelin yet?
Korok and Nyx, Korok's in Nyx mid lane. They're going on that.
Bulba going to be able to. Trying to get the Carapace off. It's kind of a wishful thinking there to try to get the stun off, but just going to haste on away and let Universe sit on low life there. But what I was saying was Gyrocopter has his MKB completed, went for the full, doesn't want to commit to buyout. Actually, as far as buyback availability, Puck and Bulba are the only ones that have that. So Korok saving up quite a bit, but beyond that, they really, if anybody drops down, they're not going to be coming back anytime soon, because levels are getting substantial for everybody but Lena, everybody above level 10. And with that, a Basher come through on the Spirit Bear, I really think they might have the potential lockdown that they're looking for. I really like the Basher pickup with the Bear already having a substantial attack speed, and it's going to be able to increase and make sure that she can be disabled during that ultimate and during the BKB itself. So that's really the best course of action they can go for. The question is, will the right-click damage be there? Because she still has evasion to anybody that isn't running MKB. She still has 20+ armor, and now that with that Satanic, ton of lifesteal. I mean, she practically gets a full health bar by popping off that Satanic. So the 175, I believe, percent regeneration, and that's just ridiculous. It really is. So the next team fight, Roche is back up. It's going to be revolving around that quite a bit, in my opinion. But right now, looking at the map, the wards, how do you feel about that? They both have gems. They're just kind of taking them all off the board.
Yeah, I think this definitely, well, I mean, it favors Liquid because they're the team with the Nyx, but it's kind of an unfortunate circumstance. I'm sure both teams would love to have vision on the map, but it's a little bit too dangerous. They don't want to commit to the fights. However, you know, Radiant is just going on that Roche.
They need big Korok initiation right this very second. It's going to drop down very quickly. I don't think it can be sold big. Stoneform coming on through. Gyrocopter snatches the Aegis. But, so that means that the Dire took the last hit. So he still gets his own Aegis, but they don't get the kill itself. So golden experience down there. Mini stun on Luna, trying to finish her off. The homing missile comes on through. But there is an entangle. But under the tower, they're not willing to go just yet. Beautiful Dream Coil coming on in. There is big ultimates coming out with the call down the Eclipse. Universe on low life. Tides popping off. All that he has. Out of mana, out of life. Now it's Hour 2000 going up against TC. And the question is, who can duke it out long enough? But Sneak King taking a lot of disables right now. The stun should be coming up. Impale will go on through. And that's going to be the death of the Gyrocopter in pursuit. They actually finish off the Lone Druid on the back end with a very, very nice Soul Assumption coming out of Fluff, and with that, they take the team fight. They take down 2 Gyrocopters, and the only survivor is Lena, without mana, just running for the hills. And so, from there, they're very confident in themselves. They've taken down, effectively, a 5-for-1, and it was exactly the team fight they were looking for.
Yep, I mean, that just goes to show you, you were talking about how great that, that Satanic is, and on top of that, it was a 10-second BKB charge. TC just didn't have to commit to using his BKB before then. It's really just, he's been completely unpressured this game, you know? He's not even being killed once. Like, they just haven't been able to do anything to stop him, and he's quickly approaching that super late game Luna. Like, I remember we were talking about how, like, it's not in vogue anymore to go for that build, and instead to kind of maximize the damage you get from Lunar Blessing. But, she can be played this way. And I think TC's really, really kind of putting the fear back in, at least back in me, in seeing this kind of Luna, because it's so difficult to play against this. Another thing to note is they can just keep descending, going a very aggressive.
It's a little bit too far. They have a lot of Force Staffs, but that's just too much. That's a little bit too much for Bulba. He's going to get picked off there. For really, I don't know what he could expect from that. They all had just been respawning, and the best case scenario is he gets out alive, but there was no kill potential there. And now with the Shackle coming on through, it will be a second death support-wise. And yeah, Ike's Mike a little bit upset about what Bulba was thinking there, but whatever. Either way, the response times are relatively short. They're sitting at a level 12 and 13 themselves, so they'll be coming back up and be able to be in the next engagement, no problem whatsoever. It's just that little bit of gold is going to help out Dignitas and try to pull them out of the deficit they've been in so far this game. But I'm really surprised about the lack of AC. I mean, the Basher and MKB, I already mentioned those are great item pickups, but it's just Aoi really needs some big items, and I'm not seeing that right now. The BKB will be up in CK, but that's about it.
Yeah, the problem is that, like, I think Vlad's is a little bit more effective in terms of just giving the bear a bit more survivability in terms of, right? Was there just a gem chilling? Anyway, but AC and Vlad's don't stack very well, right? So I think he's just going for the most efficient build because he doesn't have that much gold to play around with, right? He can't mess around too much. And while, like, the minus armor would be, you know, great, like, I don't deny that. It would be very, very useful in dealing with him. The bash is just a little bit more necessary against this Luna, who I believe that's just about a completed Manta style now too. Nope, still 900 gold away. Yeah, so what I was talking about when they were just kind of camping the front of the tier 3 tower is it's going to be really, really, really difficult for Dignitas to fight against this because they can just go and pop Manta, grab Disruption Illusions, and just throw Luna bodies at this tower over and over and over again, and it's such a frustrating thing to play against because even as you defend it, the random glaive bounces from a Luna that has that butterfly, has that Manta style, they do so much damage, and it takes quite a bit of time to kill them because she also has that Satanic. This game's got really, really hard for Radiant all of a sudden.
And now there's actually 3 gems on the field. I don't know about that, but yeah, everybody is picking up a little bit of detection action with Gyrocopter and Lena each having 1 as well as 1 on the puck. So wards don't stand a chance. That's the first and foremost aspect of things. But beyond that, it's really just going to be who's being in the right position, the right place, the right time, and moving in for a good quality kill. With this pipe up on Visage, they can teamfight for a very long time and dish out a lot of damage with that Luna, with her Satanic, so on and so forth. And she's going to have that Manta style actually right now coming on out, so that's really nice for her. In the meantime, it's actually all 5 of them are heading up top with Smoke themselves, so they're going to go on through, and Sneaking taking a lot of damage right now, getting bursted down with just too much disable from the Visage. Now that ultimate comes and pops off. In the meantime, Aoi 2000 taking a lot of damage, going on TC. Can he get the Satanic? Can he get the lifesteal? Pops it off, right-clicking as hard as he can, but he can't. He just gets entangled up. He's barely doing it. He does get the Glaives, and it's that beautiful stuff from Bulba. They're going to clean it up. TC dropping so low right there, but doesn't even have to pop Manta style. Is able to clean it up. A nice stun from Bulba.
Too, by the way.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, they just litter the field now.
Smiley face of corpses and gems. Anyway,
but wow, TC survives. I mean, they 100% focused him. They went everything on him, and they just couldn't do it.
Yeah, it's, you know, like, this is... I don't know any way that the Radiant can come back from this. They're definitely losing a Rax here, and, you know, probably even, too. I don't think they can do anything without the Gyrocopter, and this Rax is definitely dead before the Gyrocopter comes back up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like I said, the Lone Druid went for some pretty awesome items and got some bashes out and such like that so that she couldn't lifesteal. It was a really good move, but since you're not going to have an Abyssal Blade anytime soon, the fact is it was very, very difficult to make anything reliably lock down the Luna, and she was able to get the right clicks off. She was able to survive, and there was just tons of damage coming out. So... in the end, TC does get shackled up right here. There is the Chaos Bolt. Only 2 seconds, though, unfortunately, for Chaos Knight. So Luna might just survive here. Beautiful stun from Bulba. TC on such low life, but gets finished off by a quick right-click from Sneaking. Instead, there is that pulling back of the Reality Rift. Luna has to pop the buyback, and Bulba is on the run. I guess he's trying to die to neutrals. Yeah, doesn't have any other real option. I think he popped the TP, but immediately got canceled by an MKB. So, really, with that 4-step on CD, there wasn't anything that could have been done about that situation. And they did take the top racks, but I feel they overstayed their welcome with the tier 3, as is rather obvious with the, you know, the death of the carry as well as, again, both the supports there. So they have a great team fight, but they're having to commit so much money to this buyback. The game is going to go later and later, and I feel that if they had just taken the top racks, they wouldn't be in this kind of position where they're
top racks.
Yeah, no, they took the top racks, but they shouldn't have tried to stay for the mid. Korok, though, getting a solo kill, still doing his crazy stuff, and long shackle gonna fly on out. But beyond that, no, they took the, I don't know if I mixed up my words there, but they took the top racks.
No, that's right. They did take the top racks. But are you talking about they committed to the mid racks as well?
Yeah, and if they had just left the top, after they took the top racks, they wouldn't have given all that gold away, and especially wouldn't have lost that gold. They lost a decent chunk of net worth from those 2 buybacks, and although they're still in the driver's seat of this game, they're going to rely on a Roche to have a reliable push in, and that's not going to be for another 3 minutes.
Yeah, I think what happened that fight, though, is there was a really good shackle, right, on the TC. So there was just a little bit of a mistiming. I don't know. I can definitely see it from their perspective, because if you're fighting against a Lone Druid, you can eventually just lose racks and lose the game very quickly. So just trying to lock it out would be an ideal. It's a risky play, but things had to go pretty considerably wrong for TC to die there. And I think if TC had lived, you know, another maybe 10 seconds, the game would be over right now.
Sneaking in a really bad spot right now. This is just completely out of position. I mean, they already are really behind in the game, so I'm not going to call it a throw or anything, but it is throwing his life away at the very least. Yeah. And that is a big, big death timer. He does have buyback. He will have to commit it. I do believe they'll just push in for the mid-racks now that they don't have to worry about that gyro whatsoever. And it seems just a little bit of a sloppy mistake.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you there. Oh, by the way, I would like to remind the viewers that after this game's over, make sure to go on the Facebook page and go and post on the... We're going to set up 2 polls, like who do you think was MVP Game 1 and who do you think was MVP Game 2. And winners of those polls, we're going to raffle off Twitch subscriptions, right? And those Twitch subscriptions are good for 2 things. Firstly, like, you know, you get this sick logo on the Twitch page. But beyond that, we actually are doing subscriber games after this, and we're going to see who we can rustle up to go and play with us. But at the very least, I know that Blaze, you're going to be there, right?
Yeah, definitely. Most definitely.
Yeah, so Blaze and I will definitely be there, and we'll go and grab whoever we can otherwise. So just a little interlude in the action. Gives me time to actually talk for once this game about non-Dota matters. One other thing to note, by the way, about like the fact that this tower is down is actually huge because they can do this, you know, like the tower being down. I think it basically means the racks are going to be forfeit at some point.
Yeah, gradual slow push and stuff like that. I mean, they didn't get to capitalize on the gyrocopter's death, which was very unfortunate for them. But all in all, the fact that they have the potential to just I mean, at the very least, all the Dignitas could do, they have to commit 2 or 3 people to always pushing out that mid lane. It's not always going to be in their face or anything like that, but every time it's anywhere near close to the racks, they have to be very concerned about it because damage, although it will be regen just very, very gradually, isn't what they're looking for. They don't want to have to deal with half HP racks when they're trying to defend in the middle of a team fight. And that's kind of what they're going to be looking at if that slow push kind of continues. But everybody knows the Roche is respawning not even 20 seconds from now, and that means that there is going to be this nice kind of swing in. Will they go back on around through the secret shop area? I think they are, and there is no way that Liquid should be expecting this. TC going back up north. Now Fluff sees it, and now they're going to break on out. They go for the Chaos Bolt to start things off. 2 seconds down on Fluff, but nice defensive disruption. Here comes TC, popping off that Eclipse, the Manta style. Not yet. Just committing to the Satanic with really big auto attack damage. Everybody clumped up, so much chaos. Korok just making sure everybody stays in place as the DPS comes on through. The TC wants to finish off a couple, but right now Gyrocopter, Lina, and Shadow Demon the only ones right down, and now they finish off the Gyrocopter, turning over to Aoi 2000. They're going to be able to right-click him down very, very quickly. Couldn't try to juke in the trees, but he's slowed down so much, they're going to be sheeping him up and finishing him on down. Now, Way Too Sexy on the southern end, getting hit by the illusion, so they do actually pick up that Chaos Knight as well, but he's just so low farm that it's not even that difficult to clean him up right here. So Way Too Sexy looking for Staff up the cliff, does get it, and there's a blink to follow. So with his Orchid, they might be able to do it. They just need one disable to finish it off. However, the Familiars are taking a long time to really stay on top of him. Way Too Sexy finally getting right-click down at the very end of it. Meanwhile, TC just right-clicks on through Roshan, life stealing up and having no trouble there.
Yeah, I think that was just, that fight just goes to show that even though I feel the positioning was great for Dignitas, there's just not much you can do. That's an Orchid Hex on the puck, so that basically means the Lina can't do anything, the winner can't do anything. And beyond that, what are you supposed to do against this Luna? Like, how are you supposed to kill her? How are you supposed to even kill her Manta Illusions? How are you supposed to kill the disrupted copies of the Luna? It's just too much for the Radiant to deal with right now.
For sure, for sure. Beyond that, Bulba doing some cheeky play up top, but out of mana right now. Sneaking should be able to get a homing missile off at the very least, but nighttime kind of limiting him in that sense. He doesn't want to leave his base right now. That push will be forthcoming, and he's pretty much the last man standing. Again, CK with an armlet only, he's pretty much like a Beastmaster. He pops off the roar, and then he can't contribute too much more beyond that other than the drum aura. So now Seeking, taking too much damage, getting picked off the Orchid, or actually that's Waning Rift, sorry. But nevertheless, it's just the quick pick off there, and the racks will be forfeit, and that should be a good game called in just a moment, and that means that Liquid are going to be able to take up the second win in this best of 3 to make it a 2-game shutout for this tournament here, the Premier League match number 2, so that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Liquid's definitely had like a resurgence, They were kind of criticized for their inconsistency, but we're going to see, how strong these players are, and, when they get it together, when they draft these, like, super powerful lineups, like, oh, man. It's crazy. I really, really enjoyed casting this series. Very clinical performance from Team Liquid. And I think it's time for shoutouts, Blaze.
Yeah. Well, shout out first of all to all the viewers and everything like that. I mean, just being able to have them jump in and enjoy. I mean, obviously we had some issues starting off technically, and if there's issues as far as choppiness in the stream, I'll have to figure out stuff like that. But thank you guys so much for those who are on the stream viewing. If you're in the game and bought the ticket, enjoy your courier, and hopefully you're having a blast with this in the game and these awesome teams, because really all these games have been very, very solid play. It's not been, I mean, some of it has been very rather predictable, projected how they've been doing it, but the fact is all the teams are very competitive, and a lot of these games we're on the edge of our seats here. So this has been really fun to cast, and just in general, thank you guys so much for tuning in to the Premier League. We're going to try to keep on improving and making sure that we're bringing you guys the best Dota 2 content that we can. Beyond that, of course, Team Liquid and Dignitas for playing in the Premier League here. And, yeah, anything else in your mind?
Oh, yeah. So I'd first like to give a shout-out to Fox. He's the best mid player that will play with me. And beyond that, I'd like to give a shout-out to all the viewers for, watching us. And I'd like to give a shout-out to Liquid Bulba, who will be joining us for a post-match interview, after the match, which would be right now. So I'm going to go and get in touch with him and set that up. In the meantime, this is Raymake, and I'll be signing off for a bit.